The other thing that he talked about with Mike Leslie was about free agency and about adding players to the roster, because it's not just about this Mavs team is not ready to like win a title right now. I don't know if you remember back in the preseason, or
I don't know. They probably could have a seat at the table with some of the top teams in the league.
This is gonna be our new thing. Get ready for it. But if you remember when he first got introduced, the question I asked him was, do you think this roster is ready to win an NBA championship right now, or what does this roster need to win an NBA championship? And he said, with this coaching, I think that we can come in and make change right now. And so he kind of says that, and they did make change right now. They were right. I was very skeptical of him saying that, but it seemed to be right. Now in this, see if you can hear something that if he alludes to anything like that. And then also, let's play a game. Let's play a game. How many times? Take a drink every time you hear either Nico or Mike Leslie. Shout out to both. Anytime you hear them say "seat at the table."
What's the next step in that process? Obviously, this trade was one step in the evolution of this roster. What comes next in your mind?
I think we just continue to get the roster. How do we get the roster better? How do we get players that fit around Luka? And I don't think there's like a magic bullet. I don't think there's one player that does it. I just think you continue to work it until you get that right combination. And by the way, to win a championship, you got to have some luck too. You can have the best team on paper. You got to have some luck. If you go through the history of any sport, the winners, they had some luck along the way.
We talked about your relationships with players around the league, big name players around the league. I know you can't go into any specifics. I'm not trying to get you in trouble here with tampering or anything along those lines, but how instrumental can that be in that process come July?
Listen, I think Dallas is going to get a seat at the table for free agents if they want. I'm not sure if Dallas had previously had a seat at the table, but I think, and it's not just about me either. If you look at Jason Kidd, if you look at Mark Cuban, between the collective group, we'll get a seat at the table for sure.
Why do you think that was an issue? Just your perspective, your opinion. Why do you think having a seat at the table in the free agency landscape was such a problem for this organization for the last decade, if not longer?
Honestly, I don't have the history. I don't know. I couldn't even tell you. I don't know that they didn't have a seat at the table, but I just know that this group will have a seat at the table.
What can you, I don't know if change is the right word, what can you do to ensure that seat at the table leads to walking away from the table with somebody?
Well, I mean, there's so many factors that go into free agency. It's tough to say, well, one, you got to have a seat at the table to have a chance. And so I think if you have a seat at the table, then now you need a little luck on your side. But I think you have a seat at the table, you have a good enough team that can win, a team that has the culture that people want to be a part of, which is that's the work you're doing now. That's not the work you do when you're at the table. Then I think all that helps, and then you get the seat at the table, and then you just lay your cards out, take your chances.
Oh, okay.
I need to be at the Lord's table after that.
Come to the altar.
Just take communion. I spit water out everywhere.
Is it important for the Mavs to have a seat at the table? Like, is that our takeaway from what he just said? Because honestly, how many times did we just drink? Like, he said that 7 or 8 times.
I'm glad I was drinking water.
Same.
I mean, I don't even know where to start because he said it so many times. They're confident about that seat. Like, they think they're going to.
At the table?
At the table. At the table. They're going to have a seat. It is. But yeah, coming up after the break, I do think there is something to him showing the confidence in that there's one thing for media and for fans to say, hey, that relationship with players, it's going to lead to them having that seat at the table. But for the GM to come out and stop it, for the GM to actually say, no, I'm confident we're going to have that seat. And I don't know Nico, personally and all that, if he's the type of guy that's going to guarantee things or promises things all the time. But let's just say he's not that type of guy to where he's not going to say those things lightly. And he like is saying that with confidence that it's like, oh, okay, you are really confident. Either you're talking to the right people, you know the right things, and it's like, no, we're gonna get that seat.